Welcome to Ed Fluential Sports, where passion meets precision. As I'm your host, Ed, diving deep into the plays, players, and stories shaping the game. And today I want to talk about the Florida Panthers and how this season has been really bad for them. After after making three straight Stanley Cups and winning back-to-back Stanley Cups, they're more than likely missing the playoffs this year. It's 8 games left in the regular season. They're eighth in the Atlantic Division. They're in the running for the wild card in the Eastern Conference, but they're dead last. We're second to last. The reason I say dead last is because the Rangers have already been eliminated. So teams that have a chance to make the playoffs as a wild card, they're dead last because the Rangers have already been eliminated with just 71 points. And I'm just specifically talking about the Eastern Conference, but they got 75, and they're one of the four teams in the East with under 80 points. So it's really unlikely that they make the playoffs unless they win these last 8 games and score like crazy, have some crazy blowouts, and you got to rely on the other teams ahead of you losing some games, which that's going to be hard to do because it's like uh, we got 14 teams ahead of you that's trying to fight, or not 14, 8, 9 teams ahead of you, because obviously some of the other teams are going to already be locked into the playoffs. When you got that many teams ahead of you, it's going to be hard to come back from that. And it's just been a super underwhelming season for the Florida Panthers. They did have some injuries, I know, but having such a successful run over these past 3 years, and then this is where you're at now. Like, I just started watching hockey when they won that first cup. Well, I was watching that season. So this season is my third season watching the NHL like full time. So I've seen them dominate the league the last 2 years, even being a 5 seed and going all the way back to the Stanley Cup last year. And I do want to talk about last night's game really quick because that was a great game for them. You got to see where the Senators are at in the standings because I don't remember. But the Ottawa Senators, they're third. They're right. They're on the outside looking in. They're on the outside looking in the Eastern Conference for that final wild card spot. That was a bad loss by the Senators. The Florida Panthers got out to a hot start. They were amazing in this game. That just 8 seconds to the game, they scored a goal. They won. Then they got back-to-back power plays. So that was a really dominant game by the Panthers. Like I said, back-to-back power plays. Now they got the 3-0 lead, and they just couldn't be stopped. They led 5-0 after the first period, and that was really aggressive. And then the second period, the Ottawa Senators, they scored twice because they got to try to get back in it. They're still fighting for their playoff hopes and are in better position than the Florida Panthers. But the Panthers, they also did score another goal. So they were up 6-2 to end the second period. Then the Senators scored one more goal, but it didn't end up mattering as the Panthers will win 6-3, especially with that high start that they had getting out to a 5-0 lead to start the game. Carter Verhey, he had 2 goals, 1 assist, and in 17 minutes on ice, basically. Then, like I said, for the Senators, that's just a bad loss. For y'all jockeying for playoff position too. But to bring it back to the Panthers, part of it, or what happened to them, it does come down to injuries. They have had multiple injuries to their team throughout the season, which every team deals with injuries, yes, but there's been some of their top players being injured throughout the year. Like it was a stretch where they didn't have Sam Reinhart. I think that was one of their most significant stretches of, not most significant, I don't think that's the right word, but that was one of their worst stretches of the season when Sam Reinhart was out because he is one of their most impactful players. So not having him, that really hurt them as a team because obviously he's one of their best and most impactful players. And so Sam Reinhart, him being out for just a little bit, that was crucial. Brad Marchand and Nico Malakava, if I'm saying that correctly. They also had injuries in mid-March, so that also was a huge effect on them. So that was just last month. So even those injuries, it's like they're 36 and what are they? They're 36 and 35 and 3 on the season. So like for some teams, this is an all right season because some teams this would be an improvement for them. But for the Panthers, this is a drastic fall, which I didn't see coming. I thought they'll still be a top team. They started the season 3-0, started on a 3-game winning streak, which early in the season, 82 games, it's like they don't mean too much, but they still the reigning back-to-back champions. And then it was just so many cold stretches they went through throughout the season. It's like they didn't really put together a long winning streak how they did in the previous years. So they just weren't able to be consistent. A year full of inconsistencies within this team has just been really bad. Multiple 4-game losing streaks throughout the season, 3 or 4 if I'm not mistaken. So inconsistencies, teams just been inconsistent in general, and I think that does come down to injuries because the guys are in and out the lineup at such a consistent rate. And also Sam Reinhart, he's doing everything for this team. Like I said, Brad Martin, he's only played 52 games and they'll play 74 at this point. Sam Reinhart, he only missed 10 games, but that was still a significant period because they weren't as good as they could be with him being out. So Matthew Tkachuk only playing 27 games at this point in the season. So for one of the top teams, I think they were heavily affected by injury, but also other teams, you have to give them credit in the Eastern Conference for playing above expectations or to expectations. For certain teams, they still have to take advantage of that. But at the end of the day, the Panthers still have to play. It's not just because you're injured doesn't mean that you can just avoid criticism or whatever. Because AJ Greer, he has a lot of penalty minutes. Like this don't come down to an injury thing, but it's him being in that penalty box all the time when when you could be more impactful. You played in 70 games, had 14 goals, 11 assists, been a -7, but you've been able to have some solid games and be a just impactful player in general. But you're also spending a lot of time in the penalty box, which means that without you, you're being replaced by somebody else who might not bring that same impact as you do. But it also plays a factor into it. So it's not just the injuries. Like I said, the injuries is a big part of it, but I don't want to harp on that for too long or too much because that's what some teams just going to have to go through that. It is what it is. It's a physical contact sport. So somebody's bound to get injured. And Carter Verhaeghe, he's been pretty healthy. He's only missed 2 games. So he's been, as far as consistency, as far as being there, he's been great. Seth Jones, another one I didn't mention. He only played 48 games, but he was pretty disappointing this season. He wasn't terrible, but I just think Seth Jones was a bit disappointing. But the line, like I said, it has been some inconsistencies with this team. Sam Reinhart, 29 goals, 32 assists on the season. He got 61 points, but he's also been a -18. So obviously with the surrounding pieces just haven't been there. And I think the Panthers have also been figured out. They just went, like I said, they just went to 3 straight Stanley Cups and they won back-to-back. So at some point, these teams had to figure them out and expose those weaknesses that they had, even when they do have their top guys on a consistent basis. It's like the Panthers still compete. It feels like most of their games are competitive when I watch them. Like, sure, they've been blown out a few times. That's every team. But it's most of these games, it's like it's been hella competitive. So I really don't know what. And then a lot of these games have been really competitive. Like, it's been a few times somebody got blown out or shut out even, like a 3-0, 5-2. And some of them early losses, even a 7-3 loss to the Ducks back in November. They had multiple overtime games, and they won an overtime game versus the Blue Jackets 7-6 back in December. Really high scoring in general, even with overtime. But it's like they lost to the Hurricanes 9-1. But a lot of these games, I feel like at least when I watch the Panthers, they play in a lot of close games. So somehow I just avoid the major blowouts they have unless they're winning. And unless the blowout is when they're winning. When they're getting blown out and lose, I somehow avoid those games for the most part. But I talked about the injuries. I talked about the inconsistencies with and that leading to inconsistencies within the offense. But when you look at the goalkeeping hasn't been good this year. It hasn't been, well, let me not say it hasn't been good, but it hasn't been great. Because when you're talking about great goalkeepers, you're looking at like 90 save percentage, somewhere around there, somewhere around 90 above. Even an 89, 88, you'll accept that. Where Sergei Bobrovsky, he's giving up 3 goals a game. Both of their goalkeepers are giving up 3 goals a game, and that's not good. Like, you shouldn't be giving up that many goals a game. The top goalkeepers are probably giving up around 2.3, 2.4, something like that, 2 something, but 3 goals a game. And then both goalkeepers are at, well, Barbowski is at 87%, 87.9 save percentage, while Daniel, uh, well, uh, Daniel Tarasov, he's at 89.7%. And while Tarasov, he might have a higher save percentage, he's lost more games when playing. Even though he has a smaller sample size playing just 27 games, he has lost more and has a lower win percentage compared to Sergio Barbowski. So it's really a double-edged sword. And Barbowski, he only got 9 penalty minutes, so nothing crazy. But the goalkeeping hasn't been as good as it can be because we've seen the Panthers with good goalkeeping in the past. We've seen it in the playoffs. So I really think, like I said, that's another point, the goalkeeping. The team's just been inconsistent in general, especially offensively. Goalkeeping hasn't been as good as it can be. AJ Greer, he spends a lot of time. And AJ Greer, ironically, he has the best plus minus on the team at a +7, but he also has the most penalty minutes. So that's a double-edged sword because he can be impactful, but he got to control his temper, and he's just not able to do that sometimes. So that's also played a factor, the injuries. So it's multiple things that have happened. But for me, getting into hockey, because I haven't picked a favorite team yet, but watching the NHL, seeing this team, this isn't uncommon in sports, but it's just like, this is such a wild introduction to hockey. Seeing them dominate for 2 years, winning back-to-back Stanley Cups, then just fall off. They're in danger of missing the playoffs. There is realistically no way for them to make the playoffs. They haven't been eliminated mathematically yet, which is, I love saying that, because it's always a bit of hope. No matter who the team is, if you're not eliminated mathematically, it's always some random weird chance that you can make the playoffs, the postseason, however you do it, however it gets accomplished. But I especially love it in the NFL because that things get really weird. Because looking at the Eastern Conference, right, they have 36 wins, while the Maple Leafs have 32. But the Maple Leafs have 2 more points, which the NHL is based on a point system, which I found out last year because I was confused on how that worked. And still kind of am, but I guess it makes sense because if you scoring more, because if you winning more games, you're likely scoring more. So I guess it makes sense. But it's like, how is a team but the Panthers have 4 more wins, but that's not even with 1 less game played. But they have to get, if they want to get to the wild card, the Bruins have 94. So let's look at the Blue Jackets real quick before I end this. They have 88 points. They just beat the Senators, who are now at 86 after that loss. And so the Panthers, they have to win out. They have 8 games left. You go 8-0, then you have to score. So you're down 13. Let's say you score 20 going 8-0. Don't think that's possible. It's for some teams it is. Like if the Colorado Avalanche did that, then I'd be like, not surprised. But the Florida Panthers, who how they played this season, if they did that, that'd be a hell of a surprise. But let's say they score. Actually, let's say they score 20. They score 20 points. That puts them at 95. They move up. Then you have to rely on the Maple Leafs would have had to score. The Maple Leafs would have had to score just at 20. Actually, I'm gonna bump it up. Let's say they score 24 points, then that puts them at 99 points to end the season. In these last 8 games, they go undefeated. The Maple Leafs, they can only score 20. You got the Maple Leafs and Devils, they can only score 20. Then the other teams, they got to score 10. They have to score less than 10. The Capitals will have to score 9. And then for each one going forward, it will have to be under that. So you got 3 teams at 86. They would have to score 8 or 7 points. And then you got the Blue Jackets who would have to score just 6. Or, no, they could score, you get up to 99, they could still score 10 and be at 98. But they still have to lose a few games. They might win a few. Whether they win or lose, you're relying on scoring 20 or more points, while these other teams are getting 10 or less. And so mathematically, even though they're pretty much out of it and have a minus 25 point differential, it's still a chance. It's still a really small chance that they can make some shape. They won't, but it's just fun to think about. But let me know y'all thoughts. Let me know what y'all think. What happened with the Florida Panthers? Are there any other reasons that I missed or what of their downfall this year? And can they get back to what they were these last 3 years, being the best team in hockey, going to 3 straight Stanley Cups, winning back-to-back Stanley Cups? Let me know if they can get back to that point. Yeah, leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, comment like I said, and share for others to see.